Right, hello everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. After my last video of doing that, Saw ranking, I had a feel for doing these film review things again, so I'm just back here again to do another film review. Sort of in preparation for the new PTA movie, which technically is already out, one battle after another. I just wanted to go back for his old stuff and just give it a watch, because I've never really had any experience with any of Paul Thomas Anderson's stuff. So I went back and finally watched the 1997 classic Boogie Nights, man. I finally did it. It's after probably about 5 years of telling myself, I'm going to watch this film, I'm going to watch this film, I'm going to watch this film. I've always been putting it off. And God knows why I've been putting it off for so long, because this is genuinely a great movie. And it's like, I have no clue why I put it off for so long. So if you've been living under a rock for the past 20 years or so, I'm sure you know what this film's actually about. But for those who don't know, it's about this guy named Dirk Diggler, who's an adult movie star. Basically, this new up-and-comer who's absolutely great, who's got the biggest schlong you'll ever see. He becomes absolutely massive and is the biggest star in the world. And this film basically just goes through the events of his... I think it runs over the course of about 5-6 years or so, and just tells the events of his life and everybody around him, and basically the effect of the porn industry. The thing that I like about this film is it feels almost documentary-esque. It feels very real, apart from, all these wacky, crazy shots that PTA likes to do, which are incredible, by the way. It really feels like it's just super real. It doesn't feel like it holds back really anything. What's so good about Boogie Nights is it's almost like it kind of glorifies the acts that these people do until the second half of the movie, where it really just shows the depression and decay of these characters and how these drugs and the industry just ruins them, which is of course, if not more, of a very current thing that's happening today. But this film just does it so well in a way that you almost feel sorry for these characters. Well, you do feel sorry for these characters. They go through some pretty nasty stuff throughout the film, but the thing that's really good about some of the events in the film is that it's very easy for a film like this that's so kind of heavy subject matter, really heavy-handed with its subject matter, should I say, that it's just hard to rewatch. It just kind of really, not so much a drag, but it just feels like you need a shower after watching it, which you feel like you kind of do after watching this. But what I'm trying to say is because of the character arcs that go on throughout the story, I feel like it's quite easy to rewatch and not so much of a depressing film, considering the subject matter. Considering this was Paul Thomas Anderson's, I think, second movie, this is ridiculously good. This does not feel like a new director. This feels like somebody who's been working on their craft for years. Something that Scorsese would make, or something in more recent, more like Casino times, 20 years after his true start. But this instantly shows the skill that Paul Thomas Anderson has, and it's made me very excited to go check out more of his stuff. I am genuinely looking forward to checking out There Will Be Blood. It's incredibly shot, some really nice camera work, flying pan whips, but also the one-ers that he does, it's just kind of nice and smooth. It just gets you into the world of the industry. There's just a really nice shot of somebody looking at some donuts in a shop, and he's just panning to the side, and it's great. It's a great. It's not even a pan, sorry. It's a tracking shot following him through, looking at these donuts, and it's just looks sick. I don't know why, it just looks great. The performances are fantastic in this movie as well. Somehow plays this really punchable character, but you sort of like him. There's something about him you do kind of like. He's a scumbag. He's not a great dude. But the way he kind of carries himself, he's like, I want to make the best movie ever. I want to be, I feel like even though it's a very different subject matter, I feel like anybody who wants to be the best at anything could kind of relate to the guy. And there's something kind of likable about him while still being a dickhead. And Mark Wahlberg actually gives a pretty good performance in this. I don't mind Mark Wahlberg. I know a lot of people hate him, but this, I genuinely do think he shows his acting chops off, and a few other things as well. But if you think that Mark Wahlberg can't act, just watch this and pure and simple he can. There's some great moments with him all the way throughout this film, from beginning to end. Probably more towards the end, if you get what I'm saying. But yeah, great performance by Mark Wahlberg too. Another positive about this film is I like how every single character sort of has at least some influence or makes somewhat of a movement in the story. Like, it's very easy with a big film like this, with so many characters, so many actors, and so many A-list actors as well, to kind of sort of lose focus a little bit and just forget about certain little plot parts. And don't get me wrong, I was kind of thinking that while watching the film. I was like, oh well, it's kind of slow in areas, but every character gets used in a really effective way. You've got the guy who works at the hi-fi system, and he by the end of the film he has his own little new store, and I don't know, there's loads of little bits. The guy who watches his wife cheating on him, and he eventually goes fucking mental. But yeah, every single little part means something to the story. But yeah, the amount of stars in this film is just genuinely mental. Like, you're loaded with great performances from every single person here, and it's really nice to see after watching some kind of shitty films recently, I'm not gonna lie. Another thing that I like is the music in this as well. I like 70s disco. It's cool. But it's just throughout the whole film. Not so much in the second half, because that's where it more gets to the 80s side of the story. But I really like the music in this. It's just basically non-stop. But yeah, it just has these constant 70s bangers just playing behind every scene. But it works really well. And I remember the scene with the guy shooting his wife. That scene, how the music is used there is just, I think it works really well, especially how it's a oneer as well. It's just a great scene, probably one of my favourite moments in the whole film. That's where it feels like the film really starts to peak in the middle. And kind of like I mentioned before, I really like the ending of this movie. I like the fact that it's somewhat of a happy ending. They're kind of a weird family dynamic, which I know some people could probably moan about the fact, oh, everybody gets too much of a happy ending for this film or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And it's showing that the industry, it's promoting porn and, being in that business. But I really don't think so whatsoever. But yeah, 90% of the characters are completely changed by the end of the film. The ending scene is just great. I like how every character is used. And it makes the film more, like I mentioned before, it makes it just easier to watch. Like, if you're watching a film like this and you know that everybody's going to be either murdered, killed, you're kind of constantly waiting for bad things to happen. And there isn't that much of the time there is not much of the time something bad genuinely happening, apart from like maybe 2-3 scenes. But yeah, it's really well executed, and it makes it quite an enjoyable watch and not something that you kind of sort of have to be emotionally drained by. If I'm being honest, there's no real negatives to say about this film. I guess when it gets to like the 80s section, it slows down a little tiny bit, but I think that's purely just because it was a first watch, and even the parts that I'm kind of moaning about have some impact on the story. So it's just maybe feels a little bit padded out. Could be trimmed by like 5-10 minutes, but it's really not a big deal at all. It's just, for a film that's like 2.5 hours long, it feels like that. It's so quick. It doesn't feel like a second's really wasted whatsoever. But I feel like if I rewatch this film, I would love it even more. But yeah, I'm going to give it a rating. I'm going to say a 4.5 out of 5. I really, really enjoyed this one, and it's made me really excited to watch all of other Paul Thomas Anderson and stuff. But yeah, Boogie Nights is good. If you guys like this video, please leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Let me know like your favourite PTA movies, and I'm hoping that I do a video on One Battle After Another soon. I'm really hoping so anyway. But it really depends if I get time to go and see it. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I might see you later.